Hello and welcome. Today, we're embarking on an epic journey back in time to a civilization that has captivated the world for thousands of years. We're talking about the land of pharaohs, pyramids, and incredible mysteries, ancient Egypt. This isn't just a story of sand and stone. It's a tale of innovation, power, and a profound connection to the afterlife that shaped one of history's greatest empires. So, get comfortable as we unravel the secrets of the civilization built along the banks of the mighty Nile. Our story begins not with a king or a god, but with a river. The Nile River was the absolute heart of ancient Egypt, truly its lifeblood. Imagine a vast, unforgiving desert, the Sahara, stretching for thousands of miles. Then, cutting right through it, is this incredible ribbon of life. Every single year, like clockwork, the Nile would flood its banks. Now, this wasn't a destructive flood, it was a gift. When the waters receded, they left behind a thick, rich layer of black silt. This dark, fertile soil, which the Egyptians called Kemet, or the Black Land, was perfect for farming. It's why the Greek historian Herodotus famously called Egypt the gift of the Nile. Without these annual floods, the grand civilization we know simply could not have existed. This fertile strip of land allowed the Egyptians to grow an abundance of crops like wheat, barley, and flax. This surplus of food was the foundation of their entire society. It meant not everyone had to be a farmer. People could become craftsmen, priests, scribes, and soldiers. The Nile was also their superhighway. With boats sailing up and down its length, it connected the entire kingdom, from Upper Egypt in the south to Lower Egypt in the north, where it fanned out into a delta before meeting the Mediterranean Sea. This made trade, communication, and moving massive armies or building materials incredibly efficient. And what about the desert? The vast, arid landscapes on either side of the Nile, which they called Deshret. They were a natural fortress. This formidable barrier of sand and rock protected Egypt from most outside invasions for centuries, allowing its unique culture to develop in relative peace and stability. Most people lived packed along the river's edge. Their entire existence, from their food and water to their spiritual beliefs, dangled up with the rhythm of the Nile. At the very top of this highly structured society stood a figure of immense power, someone who was more than just a king. This was the pharaoh, a ruler believed to be a living god on earth. The pharaoh was the intermediary between the gods and the people, responsible for maintaining cosmic order, or Mat. Their authority was absolute. They owned all the land, made the laws, collected taxes, and led the army into battle. This divine kingship meant that the pharaoh's word was law, and their health and prosperity were directly linked to the prosperity of the entire nation. History has given us some truly legendary pharaohs. There's Tutankhamun, the famous boy king, whose nearly untouched tomb gave us an unprecedented glimpse into royal life. Then we have Ramses II, also known as Ramses the Great, a master builder and military leader who reigned for an incredible 67 years, leaving his mark all over Egypt. We can't forget the powerful female pharaohs who defied tradition, like Hatshepsut, who ruled as a full pharaoh, often depicted with a male body and a ceremonial beard to legitimize her reign. And, of course, there's the last pharaoh, Cleopatra VII, a brilliant and cunning ruler who navigated the treacherous politics of the Roman world. The power of the pharaohs wasn't just political, it was immortalized in stone. Their grand tombs and temples were not just monuments, they were declarations of their divine status and their eternal journey into the afterlife. They were designed to ensure the pharaoh's soul, or Ka, would live on forever in paradise. The immense resources and manpower poured into these projects were a testament to the pharaoh's absolute control and the central role of religion in Egyptian life. When we think of ancient Egypt, one image immediately comes to mind: the pyramids. And for good reason. These colossal structures are marvels of engineering that still baffle experts today. The most famous of them all, the Great Pyramid of Giza, built for the pharaoh Khufu, stood as the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years. It's the last survivor of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, a silent testament to the ingenuity and ambition of this incredible civilization. So, how did they build them? This was a project of epic proportions. It required a highly organized state, a deep understanding of mathematics and astronomy, and a massive, dedicated workforce. For years, the prevailing theory was that pyramids were built by slaves, but modern archaeology suggests a different story. Evidence points to a skilled, well-fed workforce of Egyptian citizens. These were likely farmers who worked on the pyramids during the annual flood season when they could untend to their fields. They lived in organized cities near the construction sites, receiving rations and medical care. Building a pyramid was seen as a national project, a form of civil and religious duty to ensure the stability of the kingdom and the successful journey of their divine king into the afterlife. The pyramids were essentially grand tombs, part of a larger complex that included temples and smaller satellite pyramids. They were meticulously aligned with the cardinal points and celestial bodies, reflecting the Egyptians' advanced knowledge of astronomy. Inside, a series of passages and chambers were designed to protect the pharaoh's mummified body and the vast treasures buried with them, everything they would need for a comfortable existence in the next world. But pyramid building didn't last forever. As the new kingdom began, pharaohs started to favor more hidden tombs to protect against grave robbers. This led to the creation of the Valley of the Kings, a remote desert valley where rulers like Tutankhamun and Ramses II were buried in elaborate underground tombs. Instead of pyramids, the architectural focus shifted to massive temple complexes. Places like Karnak, near the modern city of Luxor, became the largest religious complex ever built. Over generations, pharaohs added to it, creating a sprawling city of sanctuaries, pylons, and obelisks dedicated to the gods. Further south, Ramses II carved the incredible temples of Abu Simbel directly into a mountainside, with 4 colossal statues of himself guarding the entrance, a breathtaking display of power designed to intimidate his southern neighbors. These structures, from the Great Pyramid to the Temple of Karnak, were more than just buildings. They were the physical embodiment of the Egyptians' beliefs, their power, and their desire for eternity. They were built to last forever, and in many ways, they have. The ancient Egyptians had a complex and fascinating view of death. To them, it wasn't an end, but a transition to another, eternal life. This belief in the afterlife was the driving force behind many of their most famous customs, particularly mummification. They believed that for the soul to live on, the physical body had to be preserved. This led to the development of a sophisticated 70-day embalming process. Priests would remove the internal organs, except for the heart, which they believed was the center of intelligence and emotion, place them in special containers called canopic jars. The body was then dried out with natron salt and wrapped in hundreds of yards of linen bandages. Amulets and magical spells were often placed between the layers to protect the deceased on their perilous journey through the underworld. This journey was no simple task. The deceased had to navigate a dangerous realm filled with gods, demons, and trials. The Book of the Dead, a collection of spells and instructions, acted as a guide. The ultimate test was the weighing of the heart ceremony. The deceased's heart was weighed on a scale against the feather of Mat, the goddess of truth and justice. If the heart was heavy with sin and outweighed the feather, it would be devoured by the monster Ammit, and the soul would cease to exist. But if the heart was light and balanced with the feather, the soul was granted eternal life in the field of reeds, a heavenly paradise that mirrored the fertile banks of the Nile. This profound belief system extended to every aspect of society. The gods were everywhere. There was Ra, the powerful sun god; Osiris, the god of the underworld; Isis, his wife, the goddess of magic and motherhood; and their son Horus, the sky god, often depicted as a falcon, whose living embodiment was the pharaoh himself. Religion wasn't just a Sunday activity. It was interwoven into the fabric of daily life, explaining the natural world and dictating morality, law, and the very structure of power. From the grandest temple to the humblest home, the gods were always present, watching over the journey of life and the even more important journey that came after. The Egyptians weren't just brilliant builders and theologians. They were incredible innovators. Their achievements in writing, science, and technology laid the groundwork for future civilizations. Perhaps their most famous intellectual achievement is hieroglyphics. This beautiful and complex writing system used hundreds of pictorial symbols to represent objects, sounds, and ideas. For centuries, its meaning was lost, until the discovery of the Rosetta Stone in 1799. This stone slab contained the same text written in 3 scripts: hieroglyphics, a simpler Egyptian script called Demotic, and ancient Greek. By comparing the Greek to the Egyptian texts, scholars, most notably Jean-François Champollion, were finally able to crack the code, unlocking the voices of the ancient Egyptians once more. Writing was the job of highly respected scribes who underwent years of difficult training. They recorded everything: religious texts, royal decrees, tax records, literature, and letters. They wrote on papyrus, a type of paper made from the reeds growing along the Nile, which was a major Egyptian export. In medicine, Egyptian doctors were remarkably advanced for their time. They could set broken bones, perform simple surgeries, and had a vast knowledge of anatomy gained through the process of mummification. They documented their findings in medical papyri, which included diagnoses and remedies for a wide range of ailments. Their understanding of mathematics, particularly geometry, was essential for building pyramids and temples with such precision. They also developed a 365-day calendar based on the solar year and the flooding of the Nile, which was incredibly accurate and very similar to the one we use today. All of these innovations weren't just for practical purposes. They were deeply connected to their worldview, helping them to create order, understand the cosmos, and build a society that would endure for millennia. So, after 3,000 years of astonishing continuity, what happened? Like all great empires, ancient Egypt's story eventually came to an end. It wasn't a single event, but a long, slow decline. A series of internal struggles, including weak pharaohs and power battles with the priesthood, began to destabilize the kingdom. The economy, once robust, began to falter, partly due to the immense cost of building monuments and waging wars. Then came the external threats. For centuries, Egypt's desert borders had protected it, but powerful new empires were rising. Invasions by groups like the Sea Peoples, Assyrians, and Persians weakened Egypt's hold on power and drained its resources. In 332 BC, Alexander the Great conquered Egypt without a fight, ushering in a new era of Greek rule under the Ptolemaic dynasty. The capital moved to the new city of Alexandria, which became a global center of culture and learning. The final pharaoh, the famous Cleopatra VII, tried to preserve Egypt's independence by allying herself with Roman leaders like Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. But after her defeat and death in 30 BC, Egypt was absorbed into the Roman Empire, marking the definitive end of its long, independent reign. But the story doesn't end there. The legacy of ancient Egypt is all around us. Their innovations in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine were passed down to the Greeks and Romans, becoming part of the foundation of Western science. Their architectural marvels, from the pyramids to the temples, continue to inspire awe and wonder. And their art, religion, and philosophy have captivated imaginations for generations. Ancient Egypt may have fallen, but its golden legacy continues to shine, a timeless reminder of what humanity is capable of achieving. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through ancient Egypt. It's a civilization so rich that we've only just scratched the surface. If you found this as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures into history. Let me know in the comments which part of ancient Egypt you'd love to learn more about next. Until then, stay curious.